Hey, it's Bill from the Bill Simmons podcast. FIFA World Cup 26 fans, listen up. Is the official beer sponsor of the FIFA World Cup 26. Michelob Ultra is giving away $1 million worth of FIFA World Cup 26 tickets and prizes. Enter now at michelobultra.com/superior access/FIFA World Cup 26. Michelob Ultra FIFA World Cup 26 superior access. No purchase necessary. Open U.S. residents 21 plus begins on December 1st, 2025. Ends on July 31st, 2026. Multiple entry periods. Visit www.michelobultra.com/superior access/FIFA World Cup 26 for free entry deadlines, prizes, and details.
I wrote a little song to remind you, Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Cocktails up here feel just right. Is Cambria amazing? All right. Bring a date, your teen, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com. See you on the roof.
When you have athleticism here and then like the God-given attributes of it, and then you have the mentality and the mindset, and it's like here and here, those are when you get like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. Those are those type of guys.
Welcome to Football IQ on the Coaching Coordinator Network. This series is about a part of football that matters as much as anything we do as coaches, and that's football IQ. We spend a lot of time talking about scheme, technique, drills, and game plans, but at the end of the day, the players who separate themselves and the teams that play the fastest are usually the ones that understand the game at a deeper level. They can recognize structure, process information, anticipate what is coming, and make better decisions in real time. That's becoming harder to teach. Players today see a lot of football, but they often see it in clips, highlights, and short segments on social media. They're watching plays, but not always learning the game in full context. That's why we wanted to build this series. With Football IQ, presented by American Football IQ, we're going to talk with coaches and teachers of the game about how they develop smarter players, how they train recognition and decision-making, and how they help athletes truly understand what they're seeing. If you want to help your players see the game more clearly and play with more confidence, check out our partner, American Football IQ. They're building tools and resources that help players, coaches, and parents grow their understanding of the game. The link is in the show notes. Let's get into today's episode.
This summer, serve up the Cookout Classics, Heinz Ketchup, and Kraft Singles. Every good burger needs a layer of perfectly melty cheese and thick, rich ketchup. We all know it's not a cookout without Heinz and Kraft.
Welcome to Football IQ on the Coaching Coordinator Network. Football IQ isn't just plays, it's anticipating defenses on offense, reading routes as a defender, spotting stunts or blitzes before they land. When everyone's fast and strong, the sharpest mind on either side of the ball wins. That's what we're exploring today with a true master. Joining us is Freddy Keiaho, former NFL linebacker and Super Bowl champion with the Indianapolis Colts. Freddy was born in Fiji and raised in California. He starred at San Diego State before being drafted in the third round by the Colts in 2006. As a rookie, he contributed to the Colts Super Bowl victory, and over his 5-year NFL career, he recorded 243 tackles while playing for Indianapolis and later the Jacksonville Jaguars. Freddy, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. We met a while back, and I was always really impressed by the way you communicated as a coach and as a player. You know, I've always taken to football players that could think, that could speak well, and really see the game, you know, in another layer. What do you think really has helped you develop the ability to communicate so well?
I really enjoyed it. I could remember playing running back and drawing up plays. I vividly remember that, like in high school, like ninth grade. And then when I went to San Diego State, we had a one back. We went to like a single back offense. It was like a spread. And I ended up going from a running back to playing linebacker. And I had a really good linebacker coach. His name was Andy Boo. And he literally tested us and trained us like coaches. And it was pretty incredible because when I went to the combine, you have these meetings and they have like set meetings where you get to meet like the GM, the head coach, all the assistant coaches, all the support staff. And I remember going to Miami and Nick Saban was there. And it was Nick Saban, And it was his defensive coordinator was Dom Capers. And they had just a whiteboard and a marker. And their only question was, hey, drop the play or drop your base defense. That's what they said. And as we're going into the draft, somebody was asked our defensive coordinator to walk me through the whole defense and talk to me about why we did what we did. Thinking back on it, I mean, I had always done that, or I've done that throughout the years, just understanding their calls and what they wanted and kind of anticipating what he wanted in certain looks and what the offense gave us in personnel groups. But it was nice to hear him go through it and systematically walk me through every single position. So Nick Saban's there, Dom Capers, who's a defensive mastermind, defensive guru, and the guy, forget the linebacker's name. He was with the Colts as an undrafted free agent, but he was like the Pac-12 or Pac-10 at the time, defensive player of the year. And I remember him walking out and he was like, shaking his head. And I go into the room and I see 5 big circles just off the offensive line. He had no idea. He had no idea what he's doing. So these meetings I think they're like 30 minutes. They have a cap of like 30 minutes, maybe less. And they have like a big horn that changes everybody. But what happened was they just said, hey, here's a board, drop your base defense. So we had an acronym with Coach Boo, AAKTNE, alignment, assignment, key, technique, execution. And I just did AAKTNE through every single position and explained to them why we did what we did and how we played cover 3. That was our base defense. And then the coaches, I got done. It probably took me about 12 minutes to go through the defense. And I said, I'll just go through 21 personnel. So I just drew up 21 personnel. I think I pro because that was still a pretty common offense at the time. And then I did that, and the coaches are looking at me like, they asked me a funny question. They're like, what do you want to do when you get out of football? And I was like, I don't know, maybe work into politics or something like that. And they're like, have you ever thought about being a coach? And I was like, oh, that was a great compliment. Later, I had found out that the scout who was in my area, the area scout, told me he walked by him and he said, that kid's smarter than our linebacker coach. So that was like a really great honor to have that. And I've really enjoyed coaching the pre-draft guys because we all, as far as players, you assess the situation. It's like that. And you understand splits, you understand everything. And your job to take this processing and to articulate that out to the coaches, it takes coaching to do that. It takes time to develop that. And it takes communication of you having reps of communicating that. It's really important because a lot of players they intrinsically know what they're supposed to do, but to verbalize it and articulate it is another thing. And I was always the type of person that I'm going to study because I played middle linebacker and I was showing my kids the little diagram that shows like your speed and your height and your weight and all the percentiles you're in. And if I'm middle linebacker, I'm 5'11". I was like 228 pounds, I think they got me. And for height, I'm in the 3 percentile. So I told the kids, I said, there's 100 guys in the room, 97 were going to be taller than me. And these coaches were roasting me about being so short, all these other things. And what's my advantage? It's mentality and my ability to diagnose things and have a good beat on things. The one thing that affected me as a player that I really coach out of players I coach is just overthinking way too many things or being way too analytical. And when kids are just being way analytical, I'll just slap them. I'll literally just slap them. And I say, did you think about that? No. Because they're going to get a reaction from it. Because at the end of the day, defense, it's a trained response. You're going to have a trained response to, he does this, I'm going to do that. And then the next layer above that is, they're in this formation, I can anticipate these things and I can start moving my way to influence or put me in an advantage to win. And that's what I always wanted. I always wanted to be the person that watched the most film and never feel like I was at a disadvantage because I was underprepared. That's the worst feeling for me. And as a coach now, like having players that are underprepared is my greatest fear. It's not getting head stomped. It's, man, I didn't do enough to give these guys a fighting chance.
Yeah, I think any coach that wants to give good information to players has the same fear, right? And I think you were a coach early on the field, the way that you absorbed the information that was given to you. And I think using acronyms or using brevity codes to be able to understand a concept, it really help you play fast. And that's one of the things that I was impressed when we talked about. You can remember and rattle off that acronym from how you played ball. a long time ago and you could still explain it. It's still very real to you right now. And that's good. I think there's a story about you, from that I share with people, and it relates to me selling virtual reality software. I did some work with Reps VR and, just trying to think about, what were the big gaps that we were trying to fill with this software. After coaching college football, I did some sales. And so I had to learn, okay, you got to sell things to people that need them. Right. And so I wanted to tap into my network, and you were one of those people. I just shot the text to you as well, but I texted NFL quarterback coaches, offensive coordinators, college offensive coordinators, quarterback coaches. And I was asking, how would you teach quarterbacks in this software, and what would be the building blocks and the foundation of how you would teach? And I had some layers of questioning that I sent them, and I decided to send it to you. And out of the 50 responses from across the country, I tell people this: you gave me the most cogent response, and you didn't even play quarterback. And so that was one of the reasons I wanted you on.
What does cogent mean?
It's a word I learned at grad school. It just, you're able to describe it at a very high level, right? Like when you think of that word cogent, like the CO, is a root word, and it has to do with, being really centered in, right? And being locked in to the actual meat of the content, right? I'm sure you could look up the description, might have a better one than I had there, but it's a word I've always liked, right? And I think like people that speak cogently, are ones that can really explain it, and to go off on another tangent here, you're one of the smartest people, Albert Einstein, in the history of mankind, talked about, if you can't explain something simply, you don't know it that well, right? And I've always felt like you explain things that are complex, in a very simple manner. So I want to give you your flowers on that and give you your kudos on that.
Yeah, thanks.
In regards to what you're going to be doing this fall, you're coaching youth football, and you and I have spent some time talking about how you're getting your team ready. What are some of the challenges that you see in youth football today and getting a team ready?
The first person that has to be ready is the head coach. And the thing about it is football is super technical, and it's an organizational nightmare and logistical nightmare. And it's so many nightmares. And there's a reason why people don't want to sign up to coach. It's overwhelming. And I couldn't imagine not having the football intellect to teach other coaches, let alone kids. So the first thing that I am focused on, one is myself, of laying out my coaching philosophy and what's the intentions. I always want to start with the intention first. At the end of the day, what's the intention of this program, of this season, and then work backwards from there, because I'm a Christian, right? So God is a God of intention. And if we are really intentional about every single aspect of what we do, we're not going to be easily distracted, and we're going to focus on the right things. So when I think about just even in a drill, if you're looking at a drill, sometimes coaches, they're looking at drills and they forget the intention of the drill, and they focus on so many ancillary things and all good things. But the reality is you can't absorb all that information, right? And for me, coaching, I have all this knowledge, but I tell the coaches, we could be terrible, because it's the players we're coaching, the 12U. It's like, if I have an ocean of knowledge and they got this 8-ounce cup or however many ounce cup to contain all that knowledge, who cares what I know? It doesn't matter. I'm not the one playing football. The ones that are playing football are the people executing on the field. But I always come back to what the intention of the season is. And our primary intention of this season isn't to win football games. It's to develop young men. I had all the coaches do a mission statement. My mission statement is to define, develop, and disciple young boys into becoming young men, good husbands, and engaged fathers, and to preach the gospel in word and deed. So my intent right now through this season is to have an arc where we're talking about what a man is, defining that out, and modeling out to these athletes. Because if I'm over here dog cussing the referee or treating people disrespectfully, how am I modeling out what my mission statement is and what I want for these young boys who want them to be young men? Because at the end of the day, I want to begin the season saying, hey boys, to transitioning at the end of the season, I can say young men. And I want that to be the case. I want my son and all his buddies that are on the team to be young men, because that's my ultimate hope and desire. From how I think about coaching, I think about the athlete in three parts: the head, heart, and the hands of the athlete. And all the coaching staff, they really have to understand how we communicate with the athletes, because a lot of times I'll hear coaches say, "What are you doing?" And it's like, they're yelling at these kids like, it's hard, man. It's hard to tackle somebody who's bigger than you. Like, I think a lot of times, if you've never done it, but a lot of times, that's why I think players make the best coaches, because they can empathize with a situation to a greater degree than any person that hasn't gone through that. And to say, what are you doing, opposed to what did you see, is a way better question, because our eyes and how we respond and react to things are going to be a great communicator. So coaching I talked about coaching the heart of the athlete, but coaching the head of the athlete, of getting them in the right nomenclature. Because I test all the coaches that I have, I've been working with them, and my primary investment is in the coaches, because they need to learn how to coach. And I'm asking them what cover 2 is, what cover 1 is, what's over defense, what's a 3-man protection, 4-man protection, drop your base, what drop an offensive play, what is a personnel group? All those questions, these guys, and I'm sorry to call them out, but they've gotten so much better, but they have lacked seriously in knowledge. What's really tough is there's no standard nomenclature right now, and trying to get these guys standard on a nomenclature, because if we have one definition for every single thing and everybody understands that definition, then we don't have to manage 35, 14, 5 definitions for the same thing, right? We can have a nomenclature that is standardized and across the board. That's why I like about American Football IQ. I put these coaches on it, because you're standardizing the nomenclature and you're giving these coaches building blocks and tools for, I'm going to say, long football. Because really, at the end of the day, you want to train these athletes and these football players for long football. Because if you train them just for your system, and your system, nobody understands it wherever, it's like, oh man, that's going to be really tough, right? It's like the simple question of, what's the first pass concept you teach these kids? Oh, I don't know. Like, I asked a couple coaches that who've been coaching for like 15 years. I said, hey, what's the first pass concept you teach your kids? And they went and started talking about a route tree for like 10 minutes. What's the first pass concept you teach your kids? And they had no idea of what a pass concept is. And we were talking to these other coaches. We had this meeting, and these guys were talking West Coast offense. And I just said, guys, I mean, you guys have no idea about football. You can't even, please don't say West Coast offense. You guys don't even know what you're doing. And that's the thing about football and football coaches, is there's so much ego and pride in saying and thinking that just because you watch a lot of football, you know a lot of football.
Yeah.
And you have an idea about things, opposed to just being in the state of one of the greatest things you can do as a coach is to say, I don't know. And it's a really humbling thing when an athlete asks you, hey, what is this? And you tell them, I don't know. Let's find out together. And you give them the space, all your athletes, the space of, I can ask questions and I'm not going to be belittled and berated. Because I hated that with coaches, like, you either don't know or you don't care. Like, you asked me to remember this whole thing. The heck am I doing, man? No idea what's going on over here. Yeah, I don't know. How about that? I don't know. Did you forget? Yes, I did. I'm an idiot. Can we get past that now? Why is it, I mean, from the coaching experience that I've had outside of the NFL, why is it that I'm getting berated for not knowing something? Like, I legitimately can't just say, hey, what did you mean by that? So I think for coaches, right, it's really important, because just from a life standpoint as men, when you have like an X and Y axis and your self-sufficiency is here and help is on the bottom, the higher you are right here, the less likely you're asked for help. The less self-sufficient you are, the more likely you are to ask for help. And I'll tell you what, if you're a man and you got an ego, if you're a man in general, it's an isolating thing to not know how to ask for help, and to be in a position where people expect you to know. I mean, I'm over here racking my brain about how am I going to teach this concept, what concepts we're going to run. I'm in January, our football season's in July. I'm thinking of this like, oh, I'm so far behind. And then I remember, oh, I'm coaching as coaches that don't even know how to count man defense. And I'm like, okay, I need to have a little grace for myself. And one, for these coaches, I need to bring them along. And that's going to be my primary focus. My primary focus needs to be coaching up the coaches and making sure they're dialed in, because if it lives in here and no other coaches know it, it doesn't matter, right? Because we can only advance the offense, we can only advance the defense past the capability of the coaches and the players. If the coaches don't understand something through and through, why put it in? If the players don't understand something to a degree where they can have fun with it, another acronym, right? KILL, keep it learnable and likable. Once the guys start thinking and they're like out of sorts and they're not comfortable with things, hey, scrap it. If we can't do it, we can't do it.
That's good. I think there's coaches at the pro level that probably are deficient in being able to teach some basics as well, right? Like, so you go down to the youth level where people are consuming all this information on YouTube, or they see a Twitter thread and they think they're an expert on the choice concept or the air raid, but they don't understand the building blocks and the foundational pieces. I think that's a big piece. And the meeting rooms I've been in or on the practice fields I've been in, as a player, just like yourself, I wanted to be coached and I wanted to be given good information so that I can go out and execute my assignments. I wanted to be able to play fast, and that was my goal. Coaches that understand it then can end up teaching it are going to be a lot more confident, and those players are going to get good information from them. So I think, from my experiences last season, I actually coached 13U. It was my first time coaching youth football for a whole season. And I ate some humble pie at times because I wish I would have done it the way that you did, that you're doing right now, in regards to investing in the coaches and making sure that they speak the language that you're speaking and that you guys are going to speak on that team. And you're on the right track for sure. There's no question. I know we've talked about that. It's exciting. I'm excited to go on.
Yeah. Let me just tell the people listening to this podcast, Doug is tripping, man. You were tripping. I was looking, he's like, hey, here's my notebooks. And here's my game notes. And I'm looking at it, it's like 3 notebooks of stuff for this. And I'm like, what the heck? What are you doing? Like, are you serious? He's like, oh, I only got one way to prepare. Yeah, it's fine. Your wife's and your kids are going to be like, what the heck? We need you back. Hey. But here's what I'll say to all the coaches everywhere. Thank you so much for coaching. And just from me, I'm completely overwhelmed in my personal life, in my professional life, and my volunteering. It's like way too much. But the thing about it is my kids are only my kids for a certain amount of time, and then they're gone. So I'm really going to take advantage of this to its fullest, like really be invested and intentional about spending time with I coach rugby too right now, which I coach it with my daughter. And it's a great time because we go to rugby practice, I'm there helping out, and then we go to eat after, and she just talks all day. And I'm just like, wow, I just get to sit and listen to her after just listening about her day and her life. And it's just so incredible. And just being around the kids, because coaching is a great opportunity to spend structured quality time with your kids. Because guess what? You can't on the football field have your phone in front of your face playing whatever game, because it's like full on and full in. And even the moments in between the game and getting ready for the game, it's all those, like, being excellent in the small moments. It's really easy to be invested in the big moments and the big milestones of your kids' lives, but we can really miss it as parents and as dads and as really husbands as well, being really intentional, invested in all the small moments. Just if it's dropping the kids off to school or getting home from work or getting home from something, and just being really intentional and invested in what they have to say, and giving them your attention, because so many things drains on our attention. One thing I told the athletes at the football clinic, said, hey guys, right, because I'm always going to try to coach the head, heart, and the hands of the athlete. So the heart piece of it for them was, hey guys, you're going to meet this young lady one day. You're going to say, I love you. You're going to put a ring on your finger, and you're going to get married to her. And one of the greatest ways you can say, I love you, is by giving her your attention. And one of the greatest things you can say, I love you, to these coaches is giving them your attention and not fiddling, not looking down at the ground, not talking, but really looking them in the eye and giving them full attention. That's a great way to say, I love you and I care for you. And thank you so much for what you've invested in me. Because we got 4 coaches for 80 kids out there in these football clinics over here. A shout out Carlsbad Pop Warner over here. Put that on your podcast.
Heck yeah. Yeah. I'm a Carlsbad resident, and help out with Carlsbad football. Anything related to Carlsbad's good.
He's giving you the plan for Iran. That's what he's giving you for.
You covered a lot of great things there, Freddie. I think one of the things that I respect most about you is you're a man's man. The words that come out of your mouth, you're not just saying them. I've seen you live them, see you interact with people. I've been on the field coaching with you. We've spent time here at the American Football IQ Operations Center talking ball, and just very fortunate to have you as somebody in my life that even here, you're speaking truth to me and giving me information. And that was one of the reasons I want you on here, because, people really listen to the information that you're giving. They're going to gain a ton from there. And I know it's legitimate. Today's episode is presented by American Football IQ. One of the biggest challenges coaches face right now is this. Players are seeing more football than ever, but they are not always learning how to understand the game in full context. They watch clips, they see highlights, but they don't always learn how to recognize coverage, identify fronts, understand leverage, or connect what is happening before and after the snap. That is why tools that help teach football IQ matter. American Football IQ is built to help players learn the game visually through flashcards that train recognitions, coverages, fronts, protections, gap control, the kind of things players have to see faster if they want to play fast. This is not just about memorizing terms. It's about helping players recognize patterns quicker, process information faster, and play with more confidence when the ball is snapped. So whether you're coaching quarterbacks, skill guys, linemen, or just looking for a better way to teach the game, check out American Football IQ and see how they are helping players build real understanding that carries to the field. You can start with Volume 1 or get the full bundle at AmericanFootballIQ.com. There is also an online community that can be accessed on the AmericanFootballIQ.com website, where each flashcard has a video explaining it in more detail with film. Play fast. You were teammates with one of the most well-known quarterbacks in the history of the game, Peyton Manning. What were some of the things that separated Peyton from a football IQ standpoint?
The guy, he's a maniac, man. When you have athleticism here and then the God-given attributes of it, and then you have the mentality and the mindset, and it's here and here, those are when you get Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. Those are those type of guys. It was funny because Darren Muji, he's the GM for the Jets right now. He's my college teammate. I don't know what happened. I talked to him one time. I don't know what it was. He was with the Broncos. I had a call with him. We were talking for some reason. Sorry, I got a phone that came called through. But Darren Muji, we were talking for some reason, and he just said, "What's up with 18?" And I knew exactly what he was going to say. And I said, "Hey, what do you got for me?" And he's like, "Hey, man, we're over here." So Darren Muji's on the support staff, and they're in a walkthrough. And he's like, how Peyton wants to see things 500 different times from 5 different ways? I'm like, yeah. He's like, so Darren is playing the scout team corner in a walkthrough. And he's walking, he's blitzing, right? He's walking, it's corner blitz. So Peyton's calling it out. And then the 5th time around, Darren doesn't walk as fast as he did the other 4 times. And Peyton's like, "What the F, Muji? Freaking walking in this thing over here." Oh, and he gives him an earful. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly it. Our practices were amazing because he was so on top of everything. He made everybody better. It was incredible, how dialed in he was. When we had camp practices, when he was hurt coming into the 2009 season, I think it was. Yeah, 2009 season. We had Jim Sorgi there who was taking most of the reps, and it was practice was not as crisp. It wasn't all these other things. Not anything against Jim Sorgi, but just because you went from Peyton Manning to Jim Sorgi. And it's the level of operation that he had was just incredible, and how he called things out. And he was nobody ever could get, you're basically co-coaching with him, you're co-coordinating with him, the offense and everything else, just because he was so dialed in everything he wanted. I would just look at his footwork on 9 on 7 on 7 when the offense was up going against his scout team. It was just incredible to see his footwork and just the way he's calling out things, and operationally how he was. Of everything was so intense, and there wasn't one wasted rep on anything we did. And it was one thing that I got from the Colts that I thought was really good. It was, we had a head coach that he wasn't leading by his emotions. He was leading he just had such sound judgment in how he was leading and what he was doing. And it was so incredible because we knew the schedule was the schedule. And he wouldn't, if he was frustrated with the offense or frustrated with the defense, it wouldn't change. So he was so composed and we were so beholden to a system and a strategy that's what led. What was written on paper was what was going to be executed, not the whims of the coach. Because I think a lot of times when you have coach coordinators, they get really emotionally invested on their side of the ball and they get really pissed off when one side performs better than the other. Having Coach Dungy there, just being so composed and just like being so reassuring and everything, it's a championship atmosphere. Cause then you mentioned 1 year in Jacksonville, which I, just got died in the preseason, but going to Jacksonville, I went back to a kind of a coach coordinator where you had Jack Doherty, who was like really an emotional person, and he would be really upset if the offense pieced up the defense. And it was like, wow. And he'd get like fiery when things weren't executed right. And I'm like, oh wow, this is like such a different environment. And then seeing
9-day.
yeah, and then going on 7-on-7 and then seeing the quarterback, it was the first time, like I remember just tripping out because we were 7-on-7 and the quarterback pulled the ball down and ran it. And I was like this. I just stopped and I was like, oh my gosh, I hadn't seen a quarterback pull the ball down or run it in 5 years because it had been Peyton Manning. Like, wow, that's nuts, man. This guy. But it just goes to show like how important the role of quarterback is for setting everything up. Because in the football IQ, you have something on offense called the
OTP.
Right. So you have your OTP, right? Your organized thought process, and that's all pre-snap things. And then your A, mine was alignment assignment. Yours was assignment alignment. So
For the receivers, AABCs of receivers. Yep.
yeah. So the reason why I say that is because offensively, you can run routes on air. You can run your offense on air. It's hard to run your defense on air because you're aligning to an offense. So you need a reactor. And when you have a quarterback like Peyton Manning, like Tom Brady, like Patrick Mahomes, like Josh Allen, like Justin Herbert, like all these other foundational pieces, your quarterback, who are calling protections, who are inside and really like, hey, here's the protection that I want for this look, for this route concept, for these concepts, They're going through, they're systematically going through that. They're making everybody better because love it or hate it, it all starts with the organization of the offense, and everything is going to spill from there. Because if you have it's like how you run your practice, it's going to be from there. If you can't execute things on offense, the practice is going to look like garbage all the time. And you could say we got a good defense, but at the end of the day, it's like a strong offense is going to make your defense work and respond that much better, and vice versa. A good defense is going to really, really help the offense in developing a really good run game because they're just going to be putting it on them like that. But Peyton Manning is a really amazing quarterback. But I think one of the most important things for him to have actually was a coach like Coach Dungy, who, although Peyton was pushing things and he's doing that, you had a coach who just had so much composure. And we ran the most basic high school defense, but we executed it really well. And the nuances of fundamentals, like it's crazy to think about how the fundamentals of football are like heightened to the next level in the NFL, and how much more important that is. Ball security, catching the football, all those things. People want to make football seem so complicated, and it can be, and it is, but you really have to uncomplicate it in your mind. I mean, just even going through from a wide receiver's perspective, just going through how, okay, we have all these routes and all these concepts. Play, I'm running this route. Okay, great. If I'm an offensive lineman, hey, if we're in a 3-man slide, where do we want to slide to? Oh, universally, let's just slide to the one. Okay, great. In a even front, wherever the one is, let's just slide there. Okay, or let's just slide to where the most people are. Let's just count the people up and slide it that way, and just make it very simple. From this is what I'm doing, and then when you master the simplicity of that, and you want to grow in your understanding of football, then make it 201. Hey, we're doing this because of that. But always want to understand why we're doing something. We teach a contact system, tip of the spear. One of the kids was like, why do we roll our hands like this when we're doing warming up? And it's like, oh, okay, here's what we're doing. We're having dissociation between our upper body and our lower body, and we're training the mechanics of strike. I didn't tell that kid, oh, because I said so. I actually thanked him for that question. That's a great question. I want all our athletes asking questions. Is there a time not to ask questions? Yeah, there's a time not to ask questions, but you should, in this period right now where we're pre-football, pre-games, and we got this whole off season, make this a classroom environment. And really, that should be the case for practice in general. That it's you're sharpening the skills of football, and you're sharpening the skills of contact. You're sharpening the skills of how you're aligning, and you're really asking the kids, why would we do this? Why do we do this? And seeing their thought process in it. Because me and you had a conversation too. I had a friend that was running cover 4 in youth football, and he wanted to see number 2 because they were playing palms, right? To read. And he had the corner playing outside 1. And I'm like, no way, no chance. And you're like, yeah, Dino, we're double posting this guy. And it's like, yeah, like, I don't like, this is youth football. Me personally, from a defensive perspective, I'm like, you go ahead and you push the balls wide in high school and college football. Go ahead. You have that. I'll give you that throw all day. And if you can make that wide of a throw, get up and shake your hand, right? I'm not going to yell at the kids. I'm going to be like, hey, listen, they made that throw. God bless them. Let's go play another down in football and move on. But yeah, that combination of Peyton Manning, amazing talent, amazing mindset, and just seeing how technically was and really like in tune with clock management and the game. Like, I would say that, and with what Coach Dungy was saying, like, we always had 2-minute periods at our second practice of the week, because we had 3 practices, right? We had practice on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Our Thursday practice was always a 2-minute period, right? For the defense and then for the offense. And if it was 1 play touchdown, that was it. If it was 1 play interception, that was it. It's done with. There's no other opportunities. It's like the script says this, we're doing this. And then what that says is it actually makes things really predictable. So the head coach, the coordinators, they can't be beholden to their emotions. They're beholden to the schedule and the structure of practice. And that goes to everything, right? If you have coaches that are on your staff that are just making stuff up on the fly and they're not beholden to a schedule, then what are we teaching about self-control and controlling our emotions? You know, emotions are an incredible passenger, but a terrible driver. And when we let our emotions drive us, true with life and sport, we're going to make some really, really poor decisions.
That's a good word right there. That's a good analogy. I love that. Yeah, I'm just thinking back to reading Tony Dungy's. I know he's published a couple books, written a couple books, and thinking about the way that he was trained up, you know, and how he blended how faith was a leading force in his life and how he treated people. It's interesting. It's really unique, right? It doesn't have to be the way where, you know, people are being beaten down, and, you know, it doesn't have to be in an emotional way. And, you know, we're teaching a lot of life lessons with this sport, and it's a great reminder. So, you know, from that standpoint, I mean, I think that soundbite's really strong and very beneficial.
Let me just share this really quick about Coach Dungy, and it's a really important thing. He's the first Christian head coach I ever had. And a lot of times coach will say, hey guys, faith, family, football. But really what they mean is football, football, football. And we're playing, it's my rookie year, we're playing the Jets, and we were 4-0, the Jets were 3-1, AFC, so it's a big time game. And our starting center, Jeff Saturday, his wife's pregnant with his youngest. And he gets in the meeting Saturday because we have a practice Saturday morning, and we like a walkthrough, and then we fly like Saturday, and depending on where it is, but we typically get on a plane like midday, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And then we fly out. And before that, we have a meeting. And he said, Jeff's going to go be with his wife and next man up. That's it. That's all he said. Basically, what he's saying is, with that statement, he says, listen, guys, I know you have put your identity and your value in football, and it's your all and everything, but there are things that are more important in your life than football that you need to be a part of. And I don't care how big the world tells you it is. I don't care how big the stage is, how big or however or whatever. There's important moments, and you have to be present for them. And this is one of those moments. So next man up. And I mean, gosh, like I get emotional just thinking about it, because what it says is, I care more about you in your life than I do about you as a football player and what you can do for this football team. Yeah, and that's an incredible thing, because for all the coaches out there, it's like one of the questions I ask these kids is, how do you measure love? And that's anybody. How do you measure love? Jesus says in John 15:50, no greater love is this, that one would lay his life down for his friend. And that is it. How do you measure love? It's through sacrifice. So what you're willing to sacrifice measures how much you're willing and how much you love somebody or something. So the fact that he was like, I don't care if I lose this game because you're not here and I get fired. I love you enough to send you home to be with your family during this really special time in your life and your family's life. Go.
That's amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you've seen the reel about Kenny Dillingham and how he values family, and he wants his coaches to go to their kids' ball games, and that type of mentality is not the mentality that everybody has. It's good to hear.
Go back to intention, right? If your intention is to win football games, that's absolutely a justifiable cause for you to have everybody sacrifice their personal and all their relationships in the pursuit of football and be super mission minded, and you're going to lose people. But if your mission statement and intention is to develop the person into being a man and a good husband and an engaged father, you have a lot of different perspective on those things.
Love it. That's good, man. I think where you're going to go with this question, but what draws your inspiration outside of football?
Well, I was just telling you that I can't separate like my worldview and what I believe as a Christian and how I love these athletes. I can't separate that. I just can't separate that. So like training up my son to play football, I was telling the coaches, the coaches who have kids on the team, I said, this is the most important coaching assignment you're going to have, coaching up these young boys and becoming young men, because that to me is the heart of why I do everything of I want to train up men, and I want to help men, because there's a lack of healthy, strong men in this world. And especially too, when you think about Christian men, like people think about Jesus sometimes as like holding a lamb and being somebody who's weak. And, they forget that he is in Revelations 19. I mean, just an incredibly strong, conquering king. And I will say this. It is really important that we understand the attributes of manhood. And I'll give it to you right now. For me, it is, and these are the attributes that separate boys from men. And there's plenty of boys who lose their hair, who go gray, and who never grow up. But this is what separates a boy from a man. It's accountability, being accountable for your actions and to others, being brave enough to resist temptation, do the right thing, commitment, being committed to, I would say, God, his wife, his family, and his community in that order. He has a duty and direction of his life. He understands why he gets up every single day, and he's emotionally engaged. And the emotional engagement part of understanding the basis of any good relationship starts with vulnerability. So if you can be vulnerable with me and I can be vulnerable with you, that's the strength of an amazing and a great relationship. Humility, not that you think less of yourself, but you think of yourself with others. You think of yourself less and you think of others and how you can help them. And then to love sacrificially. So if you love sacrificially and you understand what we had just talked about, like what that looks like. So those are the attributes that encompass what a man is. And none of that has to do with how much money you make, how many girls you sleep with, and how tough you are. Because, I mean, you want to be a real tough guy. Wake up every single day, be engaged with your family and your kids. And when your wife yells at you, you give her grace and patience. And that's a real tough guy who can do that consistently and over time. And I think that to me is the heart of it. And I think so much of the time, I think there's a statistic like a man has like 0.75 friends in his life. So I'm like, man, you got to be in community, because that's something that is really tough. And it's not good for men not to be in intentional community with each other and pursuing a good thing. For me, that is the ultimate good thing, pursuing God. And I would just encourage every single man out there to be in community with people who are going to push you to love and good deeds and just encourage you, because it's really easy, man, to be isolated as a man. Because like I said, when you're self-sufficient, and I mean, I run my own company, I have a friend that's in the C-level suite, and we did a ceremony with him for his son about welcoming a manhood. And the thing I started with is just his dad, how isolating that could be, being so far high in his corporation and his company and publicly traded company, and to feel like I can't talk to anybody. And that's a really sad place to be. So that's one thing I would just really encourage every single man. And also too, as a plea for help, because like it's easy to be the savior and it's hard to be saved sometimes. And I think one of the greatest things of being able to have a community where you can talk about your wins and your losses and talk about how you need help. And when somebody says, "How are you doing?" in that community, I would take it as an opportunity of what do you need help with, and just be open and honest about how you can get help and need help.
Love it, man. Well, shoot, I appreciate you taking the time to share your experience and talk about football IQ, and then share things that are important in your life and on your journey. Look forward to our next conversation, but goodbye for now, my friend, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, let me have the last word though. Hey, coaches out there, go buy these cards, okay? I'm serious. They will be a great help for you, because it's really easy for everybody to get on the same page. And you're going to have coaches there. I have coaches that don't know squat about football, and they're asking the stupidest questions. But just to redirect them and say, hey, listen, read the card, and here's what you can focus on. Don't worry about that. You'll get it. Trust me. So please, coaches, go get these cards. They've been amazing for our coaching staff, and they'll continue to be amazing for everybody. So Doug and your whole crew is doing a good thing, man. They're doing a good thing for football. So thank you guys.
You've helped me by vetting some of them out, so I appreciate you, brother. Thanks, my man.
Thanks for joining us for Football IQ, presented by American Football IQ. If you want to help your players see the game better, think faster, and understand more, go check out American Football IQ and what they're building for players, coaches, and parents. That's at AmericanFootballIQ.com, or click the link in the description. Follow all we're doing at Coach and Coordinator Network, and follow us on X at Coach K. Grabowski.